Hey, what's up? This is Gardetrace. Dragon Ball is a series known for fighting. The fights can get very intense and bloody, but I'm engaged all throughout the fight, unless the fight is poorly paced and dragging ass, but that's a story for another time. But if there was a fight that was totally uncalled for, just made me uncomfortable, and really turned me off, it would be Videl's fight with Spopovich. Before you even think about saying anything, no, I am not a feminist. No, I am not an SJW. As a matter of fact, I have made fun of SJWs on my channel before. All of my rant videos bitching about cauliflower and kale should have hammered that point in. Also, it doesn't make me uncomfortable just because Videl's a girl getting her ass kicked. If you take other examples in anime of girls getting their asses kicked, such as Hinata vs. Pain or Ochako vs. Bakugo, none of those examples make me uncomfortable. I can see a girl get taken apart and can feel sorry for her, but it alone won't make me uncomfortable to see it. So don't even think about playing the sex card. Before we get started, I'm going to do something different. I want you to cast your votes on whether you think Videl's beatdown was deserved or uncalled for. Then by the end of the video, there will be a second vote to see if your opinions on the situation change. Anyway, let's get to it. In the Majin Buu arc, Videl and Spopovich square off in the Tenkaichi Budokai, and Videl seemingly has the upper hand. She's taking the fight to him, and things are going in her favor. However, something isn't quite right. No matter how many times she knocks him down, he keeps getting up unfazed by her attacks. She even accidentally breaks his neck and twists his head backwards, but he just twists his head back around and keeps going as if nothing happened. This is where it becomes clear to everyone that Videl is in trouble. Everyone in the audience of the Budokai is telling her to give up. No one would think less of her if she did. There's a moment where she's about to fall out of the ring, but she uses Baku Jutsu to keep from ringing out. Then Spopovich showcases he can use Baku Jutsu as well and proceeds to beat the ever-loving shit out of Videl. There's another moment where she was about to fall out of the ring, but she was going to let herself fall out that time, but Spopovich doesn't let her. He catches her and throws her back into the ring and continues torturing her, and he pulls no punches. She's battered and bloodied, her nose is broken, teeth are knocked out, and he starts crushing her skull in until Spopovich's partner Yamu tells him to stop, so he throws her out of the ring. Now you might be thinking, okay, she got a brutal ass kicking, but this is Dragon Ball. People get brutal ass kickings all the time. Even a 5-year-old boy got a brutal ass kicking. So what makes Videl so special? Why is hers such a big deal? Simple. Unlike Videl, the others did not have the choice to run away. When the Z Fighters were up against the Saiyans, they were dropping like flies one by one. There was even a particularly brutal scene where Nappa broke off Tenshinhan's arm. But they have to fight the Saiyans. The only thing between the Saiyans and Earth's destruction are the Z Fighters, so there's nowhere to run. When Gohan was up against Recoome, it was a hopeless, no-win situation. He didn't stand a chance against Recoome, but he fought anyway. Vegeta's down, Krillin's down, Gohan is the last line of defense until Goku arrives, and the Ginyu Force aren't giving them the option to run away, so Gohan fights until Recoome breaks his neck. Thankfully, Goku was able to save him, then proceeds to drop Recoome like a bitch. And let's take a look at Vegeta. Frieza brutally and gleefully tortures him later in the Frieza arc. However, Vegeta had it coming. Throughout the arc, He makes many calculated risks to take the Dragon Balls away from Frieza. He plays it smart and waits until henchmen like Kui, Dodoria, and Zarbon are separated from the pack before going to take each one out, but he was almost taken out by Zarbon. Then, when on Frieza's ship, he successfully steals all of the Dragon Balls Frieza collected. So when the Dragon Balls became inactive due to the Grand Elder's death, Frieza is pissed, and he's tired of Vegeta's shit. He's tired of Vegeta getting in his way, he's tired of Vegeta's boasts about being a Super Saiyan, so when Frieza enters his final form, he shows Vegeta just how fucked he really is. And Vegeta has nowhere to run as Frieza beats the living shit out of him. And he really had it coming. His will is what led to the deaths of most of the Z fighters. He killed an entire village of Namekians to obtain their Dragon Ball to keep it from Frieza. So he's no better than Frieza, and it doesn't make me feel sorry for him to get tortured and killed by him. So why am I bringing all of this up now? And what does it have to do with Videl? If anything, I probably supported why you shouldn't feel sorry for Videl. These other examples don't give characters the option to run, so Videl deserved what she got, right? She was too stubborn and stupid to know when to fold them, so there's no reason to have any sympathy for her, right?
Wrong!
Why do you ask? Because she's the daughter of Mr. Satan. Remember, the majority of the population believes Mr. Satan is the one who defeated Cell and saved the world. We, the audience, know it's not true, the Z fighters know it's not true, but the rest of the population believe it's true, and that includes Videl. Videl is the daughter of the world's hero, so she has a lot to live up to. When she was up against Spopovich, she didn't know what she was up against. She thought she had a chance at first. But even when she realized something wasn't right about him, she had the resolve to keep fighting. No one would think any less of her if she threw in the towel, but she'd think less of herself if she did. She would feel like she isn't good enough. She isn't worthy to be Mr. Satan's daughter. It's all because of the lie she, as well as the rest of the world, believes.
I can't go out like this. I'm the daughter of Mr. Satan.
It extended to Mr. Satan himself during the Cell games. When he arrived to challenge Cell, he actually thought he had a chance. He won the Tenkaichi Budokai legitimately, so he starts to buy into his own hype as the world's strongest guy. Goku tries to talk him out of fighting Cell, but Mr. Satan quickly dismisses him, and the rest of the world makes fun of him for underestimating Mr. Satan. So, Mr. Satan takes on Cell first, believing he can take him on, but Cell swats him into a cliffside. Mr. Satan believes he just slipped, not realizing what actually happened because his ego is so inflated. So he says he'll give it another shot later. But when Goku and Cell start fighting, and they're moving at lightning speeds, punching with explosive force, and firing energy beams from their hands, this is what makes Mr. Satan realize how in over his head he really is. These guys are way out of his league, so he isn't as much of a king ding-a-ling as he thought he was. However, he gets off easy. Cell doesn't waste time pummeling him into the ground. He's smacked aside by Cell so the real fight can start. And after Gohan and Cell's epic beam struggle, where Gohan comes out on top, when the dust settles, Mr. Satan takes all the credit and becomes an even bigger deal to the world than he already was, because now he's the world's hero. No one saw what really happened, so he took advantage of it and is rewarded for his dishonesty. Videl doesn't get off so easy. She is needlessly beat senseless in order to hammer in the point of how in over her head she really is. Videl looks up to her father, believing him to be all he claims to be, to the point that she doesn't even realize she has surpassed him before Gohan even taught her to manipulate ki. Then Gohan introduces her to his world by teaching her what ki is, how to manipulate it, and how to use Baku Jutsu. Then, in the Tenkaichi Budokai, she sees what Super Saiyans are during Goten and Trunks' fight. So she hasn't had the extreme culture shock Mr. Satan had during the Cell games, as she was slowly introduced to different elements of the Z-Fighter style of combat. But she still wasn't ready for Spopovich, and she still hasn't realized her father was lying. So she gets her ass kicked to drive that point home. She isn't quickly smacked aside like her father was, she gets her ass raffle stomped into the ground. But unlike her father, Videl has noble reasons for fighting. She doesn't give up because of her pride. Not pride like Vegeta has, where he's petty and stupid and will resort to killing innocent bystanders just to get Goku to enter a dick measuring contest with him. Her pride is in her looking up to her father as a hero and wants to be a hero in her own right. She actively fights crime and protects innocence, something not even the other Z-Fighters except for Gohan does. The Z-Fighters only deal with world-ending threats, not helping out with street-level crimes. So Videl is actually a hero to the people and simply wants to do the right thing. She just unfortunately has the wrong role model. She did absolutely nothing to deserve to get such a savage beating like Vegeta got by the hands of Frieza. The plot naturally led to Vegeta getting his comeuppance, but Videl did nothing wrong. So we went through the trouble of having Videl get manhandled by Spopovich. Where do we go with this? What does this do to influence the rest of the Majin Buu arc?
Nothing. Nothing? Nothing. What does that mean?
This doesn't do jack shit for the rest of the Majin Buu arc and never gets brought up again. Later, during Gohan displaying Super Saiyan 2 to Kibito, Spopovich and Yamu make their move and steal Gohan's ki to take back to Babidi to use for Majin Buu's revival. They're successful, and as a reward, Babidi makes Spopovich explode while Pui Pui shoots down Yamu as he tries to escape. So Spopovich is unceremoniously removed from the story. Gohan witnessed him savagely beating the shit out of Videl and wanted to interfere to tear him a new asshole, but Goku held him back. But with Videl getting tortured by Spopovich and Gohan getting his ki sapped away from him, this would be setting things up for Gohan to get revenge on him, as well as avenge Videl's honor. Spopovich could have been one of the opponents on a level of Babidi's ship to face off against, and Gohan would be happy to take him on, and would have a more personal reason to be there. Or maybe Videl will want to train under Gohan to really know how to fight like the Z-Fighters, since she learned her father was lying about defeating Cell, and Gohan was the Golden Warrior all along. So she could try to take another crack at fighting Spopovich and be much better prepared to fight him and get payback for what he did to her. But nope, none of that happens. And with Spopovich getting a bridge dropped on him, the whole incident of him beating the shit out of Videl is entirely pointless. It's set up without a payoff. What was it supposed to set up? The fact that Spopovich was evil? We didn't need that to set up that Spopovich was evil. His looks alone gave that away. Then him and Yamu stealing Gohan's ki really drove that point home. So the series totally drops the ball on this, as Spopovich isn't around long enough to do anything else in the arc, and neither Gohan or Videl get revenge against him for what he did to them. Also, this has a very negative effect on Videl's character. After getting the daylights knocked out of her, she doesn't have the same fire she had before. She was introduced as a badass action girl with a lot of potential as a character, especially considering she's a fighter in her own right, and she had plenty of room to grow. But she mellows out and gets sidelined very early on, so she's regulated to being furniture in the background, just like everyone else who isn't a Saiyan. The worst part is the fact that this is her introductory arc, and she is at her highest level of importance that she'll ever be for the rest of the entire franchise. Unless you want to count her pregnancy with Pan being the last key to completing the Super Saiyan God ritual, but that was only a brief moment, and that didn't happen until the modern era of Dragon Ball. In the Majin Buu arc, she's introduced here and is quickly sidelined once the arc really kicks off. So she undergoes a similar situation as Lunge, who was introduced in the 21st Tenkaichi Budokai arc as a hot girl Goku and Krillin brought to the Muten Roshi to get him to accept them as his students. Once they head to tournament grounds, Lunge stays behind at Kame House instead of going with them. So she's quickly sidelined in her introductory arc once the arc really kicks off. So for both Lunch and Videl, their introductory arcs are where they have their highest level of importance during the run of the original manga, but they really aren't very important at all because Toriyama doesn't know what to do with them, or doesn't care to do anything with them. At least Videl doesn't have it as bad as Lunch, who is just forgotten by Toriyama and never brought up again after the Saiyan arc. But Videl is regulated to be nothing but Gohan's satellite love interest. Named female characters are hard to come by in Dragon Ball, but Videl is here and has an available vagina for Gohan to stick his dick in to make Pan. At least it has setup, unlike Vegeta and Bulma's relationship, but it totally undermines her character, and any passion and determination Videl had has been beaten out of her by Spopovich, so she stays in the kitchen from that point onward. Gohan and Videl had the potential to be a good battle couple, and she could have contributed in the Majin Buu arc. Now, she couldn't have fought Buu directly, but she wouldn't have to. Mr. Satan was crucial in Buu's ultimate defeat without having to fight him directly, so Videl could have done something, anything. It may have been more interesting to keep her around with Gohan to make his and her development more interesting during the arc, rather than having a boring-ass series of boring-ass ultimate power-ups that amount to jack shit in the end until Goku comes back to save the day yet again. The Majin Buu arc is horribly structured, and it wastes a lot of time on things that don't matter. Those who are involved in those moments turn out to be wasted characters at the end of the arc, like Goten and Trunks with their useless fusion, and Gohan with his useless and unearned ultimate form. Unfortunately, Videl was part of a moment that really didn't matter and was nothing but a gratuitous, no-holds-barred beatdown that does nothing to advance the plot, has no justification for even happening, and wastes a perfectly good character in the process. And that makes me very uncomfortable. So what do you guys think of this? Do you still think Videl deserved what she got? Or do you think it was totally uncalled for as well? Cast your second votes up here. Did your opinions change or stay the same? Let me know in the comments below. Also, like this video and subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell so you can see all my content as soon as it comes out. That'll be it for this video. Have a good day, everyone. This is Trace, signing out.